Hey everyone, and welcome to the European Citiverses Uniting for Inclusiveness project and our Project Level Up session. Today we will show and discuss and get a presentation regarding the prototype development. But firstly, I want to remind you, of our long and nice project name, European Citiverses Uniting for Inclusiveness, and how we sort of tell the story about our project. Now, European is the where, to create an awareness and include more stakeholders across Europe. Citiverses is our what. We are contributing to the EU plans and objectives and building this use case to the platform of the LDT toolbox with MIMS. Uniting is our how. We are using the methodology universal design to create a human-centric solution where local digital twin and AI state-of-the-art are enablers. And inclusiveness. How about setting a new standard for inclusiveness in an XR environment for Europe? CU is a friendly, warm, welcome approach from the city of Gothenburg. And with that, let's start the session. As I mentioned, today we're going to speak about the prototype. We call this session Inside and Insights of the prototype, progress, plans, and participation. And I will soon hand over to the two presenters today. I also want to give you guys a heads up for the next Project Level Up session and the last one before the summer vacation period. We're going to expand your Citiverse knowledge, and we have invited the other 3 Citiverse projects that are in the same call as us. It will be a pleasure to have them on board and to host this seminar together with them. This session and all Project Level Up sessions will be recorded, and we will publish them externally, except for this one it says, but that was actually last time, but this one will be published externally. And post your questions in the Zoom or chat, and we will pick them up for the following Q&A session and follow after the presentation. We have then our 4 project objectives that are important that you keep in mind when we are going through this journey of this project journey until March 27. First, we have the first objective, inclusive digital twin city design. Number 2, an AI enhanced technical development and service integration. 3, strategic communication for project replication and outreach. And 4, develop a sustainable and scalable business model. Keep these in mind. I will ask you this question again from some of you, whatever the 4 objectives are now when we have had this Project Level Up sessions, so you know them by heart. Now, for today's session, Inside and Insight of the prototype, we have 2 presenters, Johan De Paoli from Göteborg Co and Santtu Harvio from Younite. So I welcome you guys on board, and Johan, welcome. Here's the clicker.
Thank you, Anna. Yeah, so as Anna mentioned, we will use this session to discuss and show a little bit what we have been doing so far in the project. Santtu will deep dive and give us some insights into the technical implementations and the discoveries that we've made so far. And if we have time in the end, we will discuss and show a little bit what's next and how we are thinking about the process going forward. But to start with what the work has been so far, we have had the kickoff where many of you were included, and we also had a workshop in the beginning of April just to define the work and the design of the things that we want to do going forward, and also align all the thoughts and ideas that we have, but also connect the knowledge and the know-how that we have in the project. So from a WP4 perspective, we have been, or this was a thought when we started the project, that since it's a 30-month project, there are a lot of things that needs to come together to start with. So we have been thinking about this, that we want to do it the 6 plus 24 months. The first 6 months is all about finding the collaborations, getting to know each other, to know what kind of pace we could have in the iterations and the development, but also to get the ideas up on the table so we can discuss on the ways forward. So a lot of the work that we have been doing so far is to establish the collaborations. And I think so far it's been really interesting to see what kind of knowledge we have in the project, and I'm super confident that we will deliver something really tangible for this EU project. And it's a really interesting process, since the accessibility route, discussing how we can implement digital tools, is really, really interesting. And I will discuss a little bit about the communication and the activities that we've been doing, but I sort of feel like we have something here that people are really interested in, and I think it's easy to understand how digital solutions could actually lower thresholds to the city, as we promised in the application. But so the work so far has been establishing the collaborations, and we have been doing the first technical implementations. We have taken the 3D development from the digital twin, but also connecting it to the pixel streaming and the 3D models that we have, and Santtu will discuss a little bit more about that. We have the kickoff of workshops, and we have been, and Younite has been producing the project web page as one of the deliverables that we have. So the CU project page is up and running, and well, will be iterated on, but the first version is up and running right now. And we have been really focusing on the design and the UX process, since this is aligning to the WP2 work and how we can get the user feedback, so we know that we actually are designing the right things. We have a lot of ideas, but we need to test them before we implement them. So that process has been ongoing from day one, I would say, and has also been included in the prototype that we now have produced, and the prototype that I will be showing a little further on. And then we have also got the opportunity to talk a lot about this project, since it feels like it's aligning with a lot of things regarding the city, but also what's happening around smart cities around Europe. We are really pushing in a direction that I think many people are really interested in. So I think the activities and communication, we can do a lot more with that. And this is something that will be really interesting to follow in the fall, since we are getting a lot of questions regarding the project. And just to show like a timeline of where we are, and I will dive back to this in the end as well, but I sort of see the iterations that we have in like 3 phases. So we have the exploration phase. That's what we have been doing the first 6 months, and you can see the red dot. We are just past that phase, and now we are into the development phase, or the iteration phase. Like, we are producing clickable prototypes. We will user test them, and we will be defining the digital development before, like, Younite will dig into the actual technical development. We need to have a clickable prototype, and we need to have the user testing, so we know that we are actually developing the right stuff. So this is something that we are into now, and will be for sort of a year, until late 26. And then we will go into the launch phase, since the Göteborg Co show is in March, or possibly early April 27, since they actually got the equestrian finals in 27. So that will be a really interesting crescendo for our project to deliver the product to to the finals. So that will be sort of early April, I would say. It's during the Easter 27. So that's where we are, and those are the phases that we are working with. And the communication that we have been doing is connected to the proof of concept, or the technical proof of concept that we have delivered. And we have been talking about this during the International Science Festival and here in Gothenburg. And then me and two of my colleagues from Göteborg Co were at the Nordic Metaverse Day at the World Expo in Osaka a couple of weeks back, and got a chance to test our ideas and show our demo to the public. And it was really interesting, but I will get back to that. So the International Science Festival, this was in early April, and it was a one-day exhibition that we had in Nordstan, which is a big shopping mall here in Gothenburg, or it's the biggest shopping mall in Gothenburg. And me and Jenny, the WP lead from WP2, had the presentation on stage. And we also had a lot of interesting dialogues with visitors, and it was interesting to hear about like what kind of solutions that was actually out there, and how we possibly could connect those, or take findings from those solutions and make certain aspects more accessible, possibly. So that was a really interesting day for us. And then we, as I mentioned, we were in Osaka, where we made a presentation, like me and my colleague Frederick, that is working with the meeting industry. We have like the CU project, and another project is something that we call digital visits to a smart destination, like how we can use the digital twin for a couple of really specific use cases. We have the CU project, the lower thresholds for the general public, but we also see the digital twin as a really good way of selling the city and showing what the capabilities are. So that was the main topic of the day. And then I was also in a panel talking about immersive digital life, but with it was a really interesting digital twin project called Project Plateau. They're working with a digital twin with, I think it was like 200 different cities in Japan. So this is something that we certainly will connect back to us and continue the dialogue, because I think they have a lot of interesting findings, and I think we can really share knowledge. And that was something that I could really, I wouldn't say I was surprised, but like Japan and the Japanese people are so different from us, but we still have the same value base, and we see the society, and certainly a very, well, we see people and lowering thresholds and making stuff accessible. I think we have the same view on stuff, so it's really interesting to see how we can find collaborations going forward. And then certainly we demonstrated our prototype also, and it was interesting to see how engaged people were, and they wanted to try it out. And I thought it would be good if you also, if you haven't had a chance, to have a look at the prototype that we have. So what you see here is actually it's a movie connected to the solution. So what we have done in this technical prototype is that we have taken the Scandinavian model, and we have optimized it for pixel streaming. So what you see here is actually a screen share with a pixel stream solution. So everything will be is running on any native device that you might have, which is really interesting. And this is one of the main components for us going forward, to actually be able to create an accessible digital twin through pixel streaming. And then we have the first iterations on the UX UI, which you can see here, like the information points and how we work with the wayfinding system, and how you actually traverse around in the model. We have also implemented the wayfinding system, and we have also created interactive 360 movies. And this is something that we have talked about a little bit in the project right now. Like, since You can get a lot of information just roaming around in this type of 3D solution. But it's interesting to take very specific needs, like if you're going through the security when you're arriving at an arena, then possibly you want to have something pre-rendered so you get an understanding what it actually means for you. And now we will connect to the horse show. So this is a pre-rendered 360 movie to be able to get an understanding. And you can certainly understand if you can see this, and then if you have the sound, or if like you can get a sense of like how would it actually be if there's a goal when I'm at the hockey game. Sound and all the experiences. You can really be very specific and hopefully create an understanding for a lot of people to understand what it actually means. So that's the prototype, and if it's interesting, we can certainly share a link, and I just give a nudge to Santtu that we possibly should open up the demo so people can try it out themselves, possibly after this. But yeah, with that, I will leave the presentation to Santtu so he can talk us a little bit through the technical developments.
Okay, thank you, Johan, and greetings from my part as well. I have to say, now looking at this and listening to the presentation, Johan, and seeing the demo live, I think it really does look pretty impressive. So almost kind of giving applause, not to myself, but to the whole team that it's been involved. So I think that pretty much actually underlines the technical part or the accomplishment on that front. Yeah, I'm going to share a few points that we've made. I don't think that these are actually that much technical. There are some, but more into the process of what we've been doing and what has been the approach and some of the findings and learnings out of those. And I think the first one displayed here is probably, if I would need to pick one, I would probably choose this. So in a nutshell, technology doesn't lead, but the use cases do. So this is clearly something what we've also recognized now, kind of working with the prototype and the demo. Even though we are working on the top-notch technology, I think that still the focus and the attention needs to be on the use cases and what's the actual user value that we are providing, and then the technology is a provider for those use cases. Ooh, can I actually now? If you, oh yeah, thank you. Sorry. Now, yes. Oops. Somewhat confusing to do this from the. Okay, now we are on the right one. So a few technical findings. These were already discussed on the previous session that we had in Gothenburg, but I thought that I would still bring these in. So kind of hosting this kind of an interactive 3D model and providing a high performance pixel streaming on-prem is a really complex and resource intensive. This is not only a technical thing, but it's also it's basically a operational thing. So that's clearly something what we need to consider and keep in mind, kind of moving forward to the actual product. Also kind of having a smooth and reliable technical flow across all the different layers from the user journey to kind of using the model, using the service, connecting that to the operational infrastructure of hosting pixel streaming and so forth. There's many players and many layers involved. And as basically aligning the first one here as well, so kind of we must align closely with the needs to provide the technical solutions for those. Another thing that I brought up already earlier as well is the importance of the team. So while doing this kind of a setup and this kind of a product, it requires a lot of talent from these different layers and different aspects, from experience design to 3D development, front-end and back-end platform development and engineering. We need to tackle infrastructure engineering and, of course, especially moving forward now, focusing on the AI development side. So the thing to highlight is that it's not only about the individual talent, but it's really about how these roles collaborate so that we form a unified team. And that's really the key to kind of making success. Of course, we need to have talented people kind of serving their parts, but still, if the kind of the orchestra doesn't sound good when they play together, then it's basically of no use. But I think we've learned a lot, and we've also witnessed it that we do have a working solution of people working together. And another angle that I thought that I would like to bring in is about doing the right things at the right time. I kind of brought up this spike development principle or process, a use case driven spike development. What I essentially refer to this is basically the work that we've done now over the last 6 months. So you could call that a spike. It's a short focused technical investigation and prototype design to answer specific questions and kind of move and validate the technical direction. And there are some of the advantages of doing this. I'm not going to read these through, but this is basically spike driven development is a well-known metaphor and well-known process in the development realm, and it really helps to learn fast and align the tech with connected to the actual business needs and the actual use cases and the value that the product delivers. And it also kind of brings realism to the table. It provides the concept and it builds trust that we can actually turn our vision into value. And doing this with a relatively short iteration kind of creates many different points of confirming that we are doing the right things, confirming that we have the right tooling, and building trust that we can actually accomplish and move forward with a reasonable level of confidence. But now that, as Johan showed the timeline, we are moving from this kind of a spike prototyping phase into a product. And I thought I would like to bring this in. And what do I do? Well, of course, I speak with the mastermind and ChatGPT. And it actually summed this up pretty well. So I kind of took it straight out of the console. So what are the key differences? Again, not going to read these through. There are many aspects to it, but it's essentially that while doing spike development and prototyping, it's okay to kind of cut corners to get to the result with I wouldn't say quick and dirty, but well, quick, definitely, even dirty, it might be allowed. Whereas once we start to develop a product, kind of these, would I call them laws, kind of changes a bit, because we are actually now starting to build something which is sustainable, tangible. It's going to be kind of production grade. But we already do have many of these aspects kind of being thought through, and even though we have been working with a spike, we have definitely worked towards having these already, the foundations at least, to be in a pretty good shape. And then third and the last, I took a few points while we've been discussing with the team, what are the biggest learnings and the biggest things that we see that we would like to improve and kind of keep in focus. First, for the actual work, and these are basically, we've had a few retrospectives with the development team, and these are kind of summaries out of those. Really quickly going these through. So I think we would learn and gain a lot by kind of improving a bit on our backlog refinement process to achieve better and more precise sprint planning. We should also allow time for code quality test automation and refactoring. We kind of built into the upcoming sprints. Define and agree on workflows for the model creation, since we have many layers and many people sorry, working with the 3D models. And for how we stream them, we've now did this on-prem. We definitely need to study alternatives and even study the strategy of doing streaming. And lastly, but definitely not least, the importance of doing automation basically within every layer of the system is really crucial. I'll give an example. While we were developing or setting up the hosting environment for Osaka, we first thought to have a plan B, that since Osaka and Stockholm, they are pretty far away geographically. So we thought that we would like to have a backup system hosted in AWS close as possible, so which was Tokyo. And it actually took us merely a day to set that up because we've invested in the infrastructure automation. So that, I think it was a really pragmatic and a good example of what the value of automation really is. We are able to do changes and apply these in practice with a relatively short time. And finally, I think I've taken even too much time. Something for the product, what we need to start thinking about, not in a rush or being really urgent, but we need to start defining the operational expenses, the target, and how do we hit it in kind of moving forward with the hosting and kind of the cost structure. What's our operation strategy? What's our Q&A? Quality assurance in this context, and what's our data strategy, again moving more closely into an AI-driven development mode and use cases. That's definitely something what we need to keep an eye on. That was a long monologue. Thanks for my part, and I guess we hopefully have some time for Q&A, but coming back to Johan.
Thank you, Santtu. And I can really emphasize on that the work that you've been doing with the prototype was really interesting to see, and I really feel confident that we can produce something interesting going forward. So my hats off to you and your development team. Well, back to the timeline as I discussed earlier, and this is sort of like putting the definition on the entirety of the project. So we are now where the red dot is, and we are going into the prototyping work now, where we are designing a clickable prototype to get the user feedback, as I mentioned before. And then we will have a deliverable somewhere in late October, early November for this clickable prototype, and start the implementations of the development going forward. Then somewhere in late January, we will produce the first technical implementations in sort of an alpha version, and that's also then connected to the Göteborg Co show 2026, so we can sort of use to test some of the features, well, it won't be everything, but it could be very specific features that we want to try out during the core show next year. And then we will take those findings to continue iterate and produce a beta somewhere in August, September 26, and then push ourselves for the version 1.0 that will be produced for the Göteborg Co show in 2027. And so that's like the entirety of the timeline. But we are also talking about the product that we actually are producing. And what we are seeing right now is we have been talking about Accessity as the product, and the product will be the thing that will push the the project forward and create project results. But it will also be an interesting way to publish something for the public, and we are looking at launching the Accessity prototype product webpage somewhere in October, but we will get back to that going forward. And do I have time more? Yes? Okay, good. So just to give you a short glimpse of the work that we are looking at right now, since we have been talking about an AI-enhanced solution, and that's something that we wrote early on in the process, I think it's interesting to see how we will actually implement that. And something that is up and very a hot topic right now is AI agents. And I think this is a way for us to also look at our project, since an AI agent or AI agents that we want to create connected to different specific data sources could be actually a very good way for us to give the end user the information, the visualization, the simulation at their fingertips with the information that they need. So we are looking into a strategy with the AI agent, and then it becomes like you can use certainly the mobile phone and the mobile, like you can use it on any device. But it's certainly interesting to see also how we can implement it with AR or possibly VR going forward. But that's something that we will leave for the future. And when we have an AI agent, it's interesting to see, okay, what is that? What will it actually be connected to? So the main component is the middle part, the virtual Gothenburg solution. Since this is something that we want to really emphasize on how we can visualize our city, and giving the information in a 3D world could actually be a very good way for us to create understanding of what it actually would mean to visit an event or the city. But it would certainly be interesting to look into what can we actually do with a 2D map, since we are talking about like a walkability, some form of guide on going from point A to point B, where possibly a 2D map would be the easiest way to do it, or the best way to emphasize on where is it crowded, where is it a lot of noise, where is it hot, where like we can deliver a lot of interesting features into a 2D map as well. But then we are looking into possibly a planning tool, some form of gamification. We will talk about like how we will present events. And then, as I mentioned before, the pre-rendered content would also be very, very interesting to look in how we can create the best possible information flow regarding the digital twin. So I think pre-rendered content is something that we will deep dive in going forward. But everything will be driven with the data flow that we have. And the digital twin data, I think this is one of the main components for us. If we can push ourselves and create a granular digital twin connected to accessibility data, I really think that we have pushed ourselves on the project in a very good direction, because that's something that will give us the possibilities to create great features, but I'll also give others the possibility to create features or tools or services connected to the digital twin. So that's something that we are really, really focused on going forward. And then we are certainly looking into the kind of sensors that is into the city. So how can we create an intelligent layer on top of the digital twin? And we have been talking now with Göteborg about their CCTVs and how we can actually extract metadata from their cameras. And this is also something that is very interesting to see how we can connect that to the city as well. And also, well, other data flows as well. So that's where we are. But we need to connect back to this right after the summer and talk about the structure and who does what and what kind of working groups we will have connected to these different topics. But yeah, that's where we are. Thank you.
So, thank you so much, Johan and Santtu, for this presentation. I think it's amazing how far you have come, since you've only been working for like 6-7 months. So in this first exploration phase, what do you think is the biggest lesson learned so far?
Well, I would say you shouldn't take collaborations for granted. Like, I think it was good that we actually took a step back and didn't race to get a result, that we actually got this time to see what kind of pace or kind of like knowledge and experiences we had, because now it feels like we are in a really good place to push ourselves forward.
So the collaboration first then.
Yeah.
Okay. So do you have any questions online, Anna?
No.
No, not yet. So welcome online with your questions. And is there something you want to add, Santtu, to the biggest lesson learned?
I think the collaboration really is the key, especially that we have so many different kind of points and layers and specialities involved. I would also kind of put the importance of understanding the use cases and the user value really on the top. Perhaps then the third one, how do we align the technical possibilities to serve the use cases the best, and with a model and a plan that it's also feasible and sustainable financially. So yeah, those are probably the ones that I have on top of my mind.
Okay. And you've been to Osaka, Johan, so I'm a little bit curious about what of the responses that you got. Do you really think that, wow, this was something to really bring back home?
Now, I want to, as I mentioned earlier, that I think that everything is happening in the world right now, and possibly like the US and other collaborating partners are possibly not as stable as it once was. And I think that the collaboration with Japan could actually be really interesting, since I think we have the same like glasses on when we look to the world, and I think it could be interesting to see what they are doing and how we can collaborate going forward. So even though we don't understand like the language or possibly the culture, I think we're more aligned than we actually thought first.
Yeah. So that's interesting.
Yeah.
And okay, coming up to the next phases, what do you see as are this project's most important contribution to the European Union?
Well, I would say like we have a couple of key topics. As I mentioned before, like if we can show how we can develop our digital twin so it's more connected to the accessibility data, I think everyone have a more capable of creating value in that direction. It certainly is interesting to see like the AI implementations, like setting it up with AI agents and see how we can connect different data sources to really create something really tangible for the end user will certainly be interesting. But I also think like how you considering sensors and how we can use like CCTV cameras and actually like don't be afraid of the GDPR issues connected to cameras, but rather see like how we can use the metadata and how we can do that in a good way going forward. I think that could be a lot of interesting findings. And then for myself, I'm really interested in the implementations of Omniverse and how we can connect that to something really great, because I think we have a possibility here to do a couple of stuff regarding Omniverse, and I think that will it will be good for us to push through everything that is happening in the smart cities if we can show that this is actually a way to go and implement. I think that could be, well, not only the technical part of it, but the communication part of it will actually help us if we can do that in a good way.
So any questions online? No questions online? Okay, so Santtu, do you have anything that you really think is interesting to contribute to the European Union with?
Well, hopefully we can somehow contribute also technically, maybe provide some bits and parts of our implementation, even though they might probably not be directly usable, at least to provide with sort of a way forward and metaphors and tools, and even at best they might actually even be able to use some of the actual implementations. So that's clearly one. And also vice versa, it would be nice to get to know the other projects in detail. So is there something that we could learn from and even get some benefits from? So.
And speaking about the other projects, so if you share my screen again, Lotta. Okay. So then I will share my screen again. And if I just go forward to yes, you can have the question. Let me just change for this one. So the question.
Are there any plans to write any academic papers in this project? Depending on the how groundbreaking we are, maybe one area can be relevant. One area that would be relevant would be in pixel streaming for digital twin city interaction. This is from Fredrik Trella in RISE. So are there any plans for any academic papers? And I'm not sure who to respond to this one.
No, but let's dive into that question and see what is actually possible. We haven't been planning on that, but if we think that we have findings here that we need to well, put the academic hat on as well, we should absolutely.
I know Twente has been discussing writing and maybe Gate as well. So maybe those two are the partners that I come to think of in a spontaneous way.
We can get back to that question. And, yes.
And we cannot see the people in the studio. No, but with that, you can close.
Yes. So you mentioned the other Citiverse project, Santtu, and June 24, we will get to know those 3 Citiverse projects a little bit more, since we have invited them to present their projects for us. So please join us the June 24th at 2 o'clock, and see you then and see you soon.
See you. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.